Hello, and welcome back to A Mental Break. I'm your host, Taylor Simpson, and this is going to be the last episode of Season 1, guys. We did it. We made it through a whole first season of the show. I'm sorry again, I don't have a guest for this episode. It's been pretty busy for me recently. If you guys listened to my last week's episode, I kind of dove into it a bit more. Just got a lot of projects going on right now. You know, stuff is opening up again around the world, trying to get back at it again. So it's been hard to sit down and just shoot these and get people involved and guests and stuff like that and keep up week to week, because that's literally what I've been trying to do for this first season, is like keep up week to week, getting guests, shooting it, editing it, putting it out. So it's been a little tough trying to juggle that with everything else I have going on in my life. Hence why this episode is going to be kind of a bit more laid back. Just kind of like a wrapping things up kind of episode for season 1, and let you guys know what's going on for season 2. Because don't worry, like, I'm not going to end this podcast. I mean, you guys have been so great to me and the guests that have come on the show, and I really believe in this. And I want to see this flourish, and I want to build this community that I've started with this podcast. So don't worry, like, I'm going to keep doing it, and we'll get into a bit more, like, what my plans are for the podcast. I just want to check in with you guys, see how you're doing. Listeners and viewers, how have you guys been doing? Feel free to reach out to me at on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, just at Taylor Simpson Music, or you can reach out to the podcast Instagram at A Mental Break Podcast. Just want to know how you guys are holed up in the world right now. It's a crazy time for all of us, I'm sure. And, you know, we're in that kind of, like, readjusting period in our lives now where, like, you know, we're getting out of, well, I mean, it's still the pandemic, obviously, but, like, we're getting out of the worst part of it, hopefully, fingers crossed. And, you know, stuff's getting back to normal again-ish, whatever that means. But, yeah, just readjusting to our lives again, you know? So, yeah, just let me know how you guys are doing. I want to say a big thank you to all of you listeners and viewers of the podcast for tuning in each and every week, listening to the guests, listening to me speak about mental health, creating this safe space, having this community to come to talk about some things that are hard to talk about sometimes. Because without you guys, there'd be no point for me doing this, you know what I mean? Obviously there's a point, but, like, you guys are the reason why I keep coming back, and the guests that I have on are the reason why I keep coming back and wanting to make more episodes, because I feel like it's important to get this out there. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone, all the guests that were on season 1. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with all of us. It's such a huge and quite an honor for me as the host to sit here and have these guests come on my show and share their story with all of you guys. So it's, you know, it's very brave, and I applaud them tremendously for coming on and sharing their story with all of us. So thank you to all the guests that were on season 1. Thank you to everyone who listened, downloaded the episodes, liked, followed, whatever. Thank you guys for watching the video format that I started with this season. I know I missed the first few episodes with videos, but hopefully we can get some of those guests from the first season that weren't videos maybe in season 2 with video version. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for tuning in every single week to support this podcast. I really appreciate it, and the guests really appreciate it too. I can't thank you guys enough for that. I didn't know what to expect going into this podcast. It was just something that I started during the pandemic to, I don't know, shed some light on mental health. Something that I'm, you know, a big advocate of is I'm a big mental health advocate, pushing that forward and getting that into people's headspace and, like, you know, just making it more accessible to people that need it, right? So thank you guys so much for helping me grow this podcast to what it is now. Like, it's awesome that I get to do this. So that kind of takes me to my next segment here, is just talking about the future of this podcast. So like I said from the top, guys, this is going to be the end of season 1. 20 episodes is a good point, I think, for me to call a season. And it's just been difficult, obviously, because a lot of things are coming up in my life that I need to focus on. before I can get more into this. But that's another thing. If you want to find out more about that, you can listen to the episode last week where I get into a bit more. But anyways, my plan for the podcast moving forward is this is going to be another season 1. I'm going to need a break, guys. I'm going to have to take some time off from the podcast. Probably 2-3 weeks, probably maybe a month. We'll have to see. But in that time, I'm going to try and get like a stockpile of episodes ready to go. So even though you're not going to see anything for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I will be continuing to record episodes of the podcast for season 2. My goal is to have, if possible, I'd love to have the whole season done before, like shot and edited before I start releasing them, or at least half of them. But like I need to have these episodes ready to go, because it's hard to find guests week to week to week, and like obviously you guys, if you keep up every week, thank you so much, by the way, I appreciate it. But I'm guessing you've been seeing that I missed 2 weeks like a month ago, and then these last 2 episodes, or last 3 episodes, I had to have Lena come back on. We had CJ, which was amazing, and I'm glad that she came on. But then it was just me for the last 2 episodes, which is fine. I don't mind doing an episode by myself. It's totally cool, but I do love having guests come on, and it's just way more engaging, I think, for me at least, talking to somebody else than just a camera or my microphone if you're listening. So yeah, I'm going to try and interview a lot of people in that window of time in the 3 to 4 weeks I take off. I'm just going to try and schedule a bunch of interviews, more episodes obviously, record a bunch, and that way I have a big stockpile of episodes ready to go, so that when season 2 launches, I'm not stressing out every single week to keep up, like with the other things in my life that I have to also do. So that's kind of where it's at. So don't worry, like the podcast will still keep going. I want to grow this thing to be a huge platform at some point, and I want to be able to get some sponsors on here that I trust and am willing to share with you guys, so that I can get some money coming in for this podcast, so I can put it back into the podcast. Because, like I'm spending, not that you guys really need to know all this, but, it takes time to shoot these, to get the guest, to shoot it, to edit it, to put it up, to like upload it onto YouTube and then Spotify and all that stuff. Like, it's not a full-time job, but it's a part-time job, and like I'm not getting reimbursed for this, other than the fact that I'm gaining knowledge in the mental health field, and I get to make these connections. So like, on one regard, it's paying me back, and I'm loving that side of it. But, unfortunately this world works around fucking money, as sad as that is. But, I need to have something coming in, I will continue to do this no matter what. Let me just make that clear. Money or no money. Like, I get enough fulfillment out of this from making the connections I do with the guests and you guys listening and watching. That fulfills me enough to want to keep doing it anyways. But if I can get sponsors on this podcast that I trust and makes sense with the brand, then I'm obviously going to do that too, to help me financially make it easier to keep doing this, if that makes sense to you guys. But anyways guys, that's kind of the plan for the podcast. I'm going to take a few weeks off, film a bunch of episodes, and I'll be back with season 2 hopefully before the end of this year, maybe late November or early December, we'll see. But again, I just want to say a big thanks to you guys for supporting this podcast all the way through season 1. I never thought I'd get this far with this podcast, honestly. And so the fact that this is the 20th episode is crazy to me, and it's been spanned over 5-6 months now. Like, it's amazing. So I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys who listened, who watched on YouTube, who reached out to me with your beautiful words, and all the guests, and just everybody involved with this. Just thank you guys so much for this. I will be back with more episodes for you guys in season 2. And again, like I said, guys, let me know how you guys are doing. I want to reach out to you guys and build a community with this. So if you got stuff that you want to say, or that you want to reach out to me and ask, or if you have any suggestions for what I should do in season 2, I'm open to anything. Like, shoot me a message at Taylor Simpson Music on Instagram, or reach out to the podcast Instagram at A Mental Break Podcast. Yeah, just shoot me a DM or a message or whatever, and I'd love to hear from you guys. But I think that's it for this episode. It's just kind of like a wrap-up, season finale kind of episode. Didn't want to make it too long. Just wanted to cover all the bases with you guys as to what's going on. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks or a month or so. Until then, please stay safe, drink lots of water, hug somebody, tell them you love them, all that good stuff I always say at the end of every episode. Just thank you guys, and feel free to follow, like, and all that stuff on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell somebody about this podcast. Help me help it grow to people that need to hear more about mental health conversations. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. All right, bye everybody.